you here? This week, I got an email from one of my friends. It was really funny. It was a collection of things that children have said or written or drawn, and just really good humor, kind of like long ago that Art Link letter program, kids say the darndest thing. Yeah, sort of like that. So I'm just going to share one of the little items on this email. It was a note that a mother had written to her daughter. So in this beautiful penmanship in ink, the mom had written, "Dear Susie, have a wonderful day. Love, Mom." And then on the bottom of the page, a big pencil mark line across the page, and in big, bold pencil letters, "I will not." Kind of cute, huh? We can all relate. That obstinance, that defiance, that self-righteousness, I don't know. And who does it better at this time of year than Scrooge or the Grinch? How about the Grinch? I love Dr. Seuss. I think I've told you that a few times now. I still do. It brings out the child in me. And even though his books are silly, they often have so much wisdom and insight. A few years ago, a Unity minister, Kelly Isola, did a show on the Unity FM radio station about the metaphysics of how the Grinch stole Christmas. I listened to her talk last month, and I decided that it would be fun to share some of her insights about this story, and maybe some insights about when we're Grinchy. Grinch wasn't even a word before this book. Isn't that cool? I mean, wouldn't it be fun to write stories and poems and make up words? And yeah, what a good job he had. There are so many wonderful Christmas stories, and lots of them have been made into movies that we can enjoy at this time of year. I just last week watched The Muppet Christmas Carol. Have any of you seen that? Made in the 80s, and I hadn't seen it since the 80s. Michael Caine is Scrooge. Oh, what a good job he does. But all the other characters in the movie are Muppets, and it's just adorable. Christmas stories like that are usually about transformation and about new birth. It's like the original Christmas story about the birth of Jesus and the Christ light within each of us. So this morning I'm going to talk about Grinch and talk about his story and see if it applies to our spiritual journey. So the Grinch lives up on a hill above Whoville. He's isolated himself up there, and the people in Whoville are the Whos. The Whos are very cheerful, happy, joy-filled people. And boy, do they love Christmas. They do lots for Christmas. And the story begins with the background of the Grinch. The Grinch just doesn't like Christmas at all. And there's speculation about why doesn't he like it? Are his shoes too tight? Is his heart too small? Nobody really knows why, but he really, really doesn't like this Christmas business, and he wants to stop it from coming. Have you ever wanted to stop something from coming? Yeah, that's called resistance. Have you felt resistance at some time in your life? I know I have. Sometimes we resist change, don't we? Sometimes we resist people. Sometimes we resist new ideas. Sometimes we even resist that gentle calling of our soul, calling us to our passions and our life purpose. We can resist a lot of things. Reverend Kelly says that resistance is the total opposite of joy. When we resist what is, we waste our energy. We waste our time and precious resources when we could be experiencing joy. A big thing for the Grinch is noise. The story goes like this. All the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then all the noise. So the noise. That's the one thing he hated. the noise, 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 noise. Reverend Kelly asks us to think about the noise in our lives. Maybe the noise in our heads. Is there some noise going on this week? Like worry and fretting, making a list and checking it twice, and wondering if we're getting everything done, more planning and fretting and worrying, all that stuff. How about the noise in your head when you try to meditate? Or the noise in your head when you try to go to sleep at night? Or the noise in your head like negative voices that criticize and find fault with you and everything. We all experience those inner critic voices sometimes, and it's uncomfortable when we do, and really no fun at all, is it? And most of the time those voices are telling us things that we don't really want to be telling ourselves. Besides all the noise that he hates, the Who's did a lot of bell ringing at Christmas time and a lot of singing at Christmas time. The book says they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. Kind of like today. Have you ever been annoyed when other people are just too happy? Why do we do that? I don't get it. Someone else's good, someone else's joy and happiness does not diminish our own. In fact, it adds to it. But you know, when we're being grinchy, we just don't want anybody to be happy or joyous, do we? We want to share the misery, I guess. The Grinch just wants the whole thing to stop. He's put up with this Christmas business for 53 years. That's what the book says, 53 years. That's a really long time to put up with something, isn't it? When we don't take care of our needs, when we don't speak our truth, we just get a big backlog, pile up of old resentments. And that needs to be cleared out with the breathing like we did today, John. It was great. Who wants a big log jam of resentments and anger? Not us, right? But anyway, the Grinch has that, and this year he decides that he's had enough. He's going to stop Christmas. I think we can relate. He's thinking, I don't like this, and you people have had it your way for 53 years, and now it's my turn. I'm going to stop Christmas. So he comes up with some plans to stop Christmas, and he starts by dressing up as Santa Claus. And then he ties a big horn onto the head of his little dog, so Max will look like a reindeer. They're really pretty weak disguises. I looked him up, I bought the book so I kind of remember what to say, but I mean, he's green, and he's skinny, and he didn't even bother to put a beard on, so who's he gonna fool? And Max is this tiny little dog. I don't know how he can balance that big horn on his head, so I think he'd have to be blind or pretty naive to fall for them. Yesterday morning, I was in the kitchen eating breakfast, and my husband John walked in, and he had a brand new t-shirt on. And I looked at him, I mean, it was really a cool shirt, and it said, Finisher, 35th Grandma's Marathon, 2011. Great shirt. I said, John, where'd you get that shirt? And he puffed up and acted like indeed he had run the marathon. And then we both broke out laughing. He couldn't hold that little joke. You know, we can try to be something we're not, but it usually doesn't fool anyone. And it doesn't last for long if we do. Have you tried to fool somebody? Have you worn some masks in your life? Or put on some disguises thinking that will help you fit in or be loved or accepted? We think it's going to help, don't we? But does it feel right? I don't know, I'm thinking of Halloween costumes. Sometimes they're so itchy and scratchy and they don't fit right. They don't feel right. Furthermore, people get the message when our words and our actions don't line up. So poor little Max, this little sweet dog with a big horn tied to his head. Max is so loyal. Yeah, who are our loyal friends? Who listens and sticks up for us? And do we drag our friends into our dramas and insanity, or do we honor them and see them as complete, whole individuals? Our friends stick beside us, don't they, through the tough times? They often hold the space for us when we grow and move through some of our life challenges and painful experiences. Friends are witnesses. They witness our transformation process. Do we thank them? Do we take them for granted? How do we show up for them? So next, the Grinch gathers a bunch of empty sacks and he loads them onto an old sleigh. He hitches up Max to this sleigh and they head down into Whoville. While everyone is sleeping on Christmas Eve, the Grinch sneaks down the chimneys and takes everything. He takes the decorations and the Christmas stockings and all the presents under the tree and the lights and the tree itself, and he even goes in the refrigerator and takes all the food. He takes everything. Yeah, I think even maybe even the nails on the wall, if I remember it. And in one house, he's got almost everything gone, and he's just taking the last thing, pushing the tree up the chimney, and a little girl wakes up and sees him doing this, and she says, "What are you doing with our Christmas tree?" And the Grinch tells her he's taking it to his workshop to fix a broken light. So he's lying to her. And she believes him. Little Cindy Lou, who is not more than 2. That's part of the book. I'm thinking about him doing this, packing up everything. Now, in January, I put away my Christmas decorations, and it's a lot of work. I don't especially like doing it. It takes a lot of time. Put everything away. Is it the same in your house? There's a lot of time and energy to pack everything up. Just imagine having to do that in your whole neighborhood. So the Grinch has spent just a ton of energy and time to stop Christmas and to stop the good from happening. So here he is, lying to this sweet little Cindy Lou, but then he gives her a drink of water and sends her off to bed. So even in the midst of his stealing and his lying and negativity, there's a little spark of good. He does one simple act of kindness. I'm thinking about his lying to this sweet little girl. When have we lied? And have we ever been dishonest with ourselves? But seeing Cindy Lou didn't slow him down for long. He gave her that water, and then he shoved the tree up the chimney, and out he went. And he and Max took this big, heavy sleigh load of Christmas belongings, and they went up. They went up, up, up to 3,000 feet to the top of a mountain. And he plans to just dump all this stuff over the side. So there he is, the Grinch, in this far-off, secluded place. Does this sound kind of familiar? He's come apart for a while. He's alone in an elevated place, and he hears something. A sound rising over the snow. It was a song, the sound of his awakening, the sound of the Who's singing. Even without presents, they were singing on Christmas morning. The Grinch stayed up on that mountaintop for 3 hours that day. He just couldn't figure it out. You know, he took everything that he thought Christmas was about, anything he thought had meaning about Christmas, anything he thought that mattered to them, he took it all. He doesn't understand. So he stays in this place of elevated thinking and being until he changes his mind. Remember the definition of repent? We talked about this a few months ago. It means to think again, to rethink, to think differently after. So the book says this: the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. Do things in our life mean more than what we think? When we take time this season to be present to the people in our lives and the events of our lives and the festivities, we find that everything has meaning. Everyone has meaning. We are all connected, and it's all a valuable part of our own good. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. He had a shift, a transformation experience on a mountaintop. The Grinch had a change of heart. So he and Max fly down the mountain with a sleigh full of Christmas, and they bring it all back. They bring it all back to Whoville. Have you experienced times in your life when your heart stretches and grows? Times when you just stop with the thinking and come from your heart, and your heart opens up. When you give and give without any expectation of something in return. When you love with no strings attached, like sunshine shining down on everyone. The Who's invite the Grinch to their Christmas feast. And they have roast beast, I think. To them, it doesn't matter what he did. They forgive him and they invite him to stay. You know, we all need to be forgiven. We all need to be seen. We all need to be known and accepted. Our flaws and our damaged parts, as well as our gifts and our really wonderful shining qualities. It's all part of us, the whole package. So no matter what, we are all invited to the Christmas party. Even though we make mistakes, even though we can act like a Grinch sometimes, we're all on the guest list. Let's open our hearts this Christmas and accept that invitation. Let's allow this Christmas joy to be alive in us. Picture a radio with the sound turned way down. And just turn up the volume this year. Turn up the joy. When you're driving in your car and one of your favorite songs comes on, don't you turn the knob so it will be louder, the music is louder? Yeah. Good music deserves to be loud. It's worth it. Well, dear ones, there's music and joy and love and light and laughter in each of you. And that deserves to be turned up too. So turn up the volume this Christmas. Let your joy and your light just fill the room. Share your love. Be like a child. Be happy and free. And let your heart grow 3 sizes. So the love and joy and laughter and peace within me and my spirit greets the joy and love and laughter and peace within you. Turn up the joy. Namaste.